let's get on to the Chiefs, eh? Let's keep getting through these teams. So significant ins for the Chiefs. We got, I think, probably, it's not the biggest in because of who's next, but Josh Ioane. Wow. He is definitely the straight replacement for Damian Mckenzie. Can play 10 and 15. I reckon will play 10 for the side, but just an unbelievable talent. If he can get his mindset right and if he wants to achieve things at the Chiefs, I think it's the perfect team for him in the way he likes to play the game. You also got Brody Retalic, none other than the best player in the world, I think 2017, coming back from the Kobe Steelers. So he's been out for a couple of years, obviously came back into the All Blacks environment last year. He just looked not quite as dynamic as I remember him when he was in Super Rugby. So I'd like to see the level that he can go to in Super Rugby when the game's a little less physical and he can kind of get involved in the wider channels, throw the ball around a little bit more and just show off his ridiculous athleticism. And the last name I'll point out is Ermoni Narawa, who was had such high hopes over at the Blues and it just didn't unfold for him. But I think he could be a real find as well for them.
If we go to the significant outs, there's some big names here. Damian Mckenzie heading across to the Sun Guy. He was, first pick for many years before he was usurped by Mo'unga in that 10 jersey as an absolute dominant player in the competition. Lachlan Beaucher, who Harry and I think should be the starting 7 for the All Blacks. Te Tahu from the Crusade, going across to the Crusaders. He's just another guy feeling that's number 9 role for them. Got a lot of game time in previous years. And then tragically, the passing of Sean Waianui, everyone would have heard about it by now. He's one that needs to be mentioned because he was just such a stalwart for them, over the last number of years and a really, really impressive player, both on and off the field. So he's a massive loss for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And still, that's not even mentioning names like Nathan Harris, Guinea Naholo, Balen Sullivan. There's so much talent there that is just moving around at the moment. And Nathan Harris, I should just mention quickly as well, retired because of some ongoing ankle issues as well. So that's disappointing for him. Yep. The best 15, Craig.
Yeah, Nathan Harris just couldn't get back for the last 3 or 4 years, could he? Just plagued, so that sucked. But best 15, let's do it. All right, we've got loosehead Atu Moli, who similarly has been a player plagued with some injury trouble the last couple of years. The Chiefs' front row has really struggled with injuries the last 2 or 3 years. But Atu Moli, we've got Samasoni Takiaho, who we've got big raps on for this year, and Angus Tarvau in at tight head. He's been awesome in recent years of fantasy. Brody Retalic and young Tupo Vai to start in the locks pairing. I think they picked themselves, both All Blacks. And Nels, do you want to take us into the back row?
Yeah, no problem. I think the number 8's a no-brainer. Luke Jacobson. Number 7's a no-brainer. Sam Cane. And the 6 was the only one that there was a little bit of question in who will fill that void. But for us, it's Peter Gasuakola. He's just been such an exciting player for them. Very dynamic, very mobile around the paddock. And he is a bigger body as well. Obviously can feel that 8 jersey, but it's not going to budge Luke Jacobson. We've also got Brad Weber at 9 and Josh Ioane at 10.
Yeah, Quinn Tapia and Anton Leonard-Brown at 12-13. I think they're pretty established now, both playing a few games for the All Blacks last year. Eteni Nanai-Saturo, probably the hardest one to pick on the left wing. Obviously been in and out with his 7s involvement as well, but I just suspect that we're going to see him have a breakout year this year. And then I think John Olo over Sean Stevenson on the right wing, but they could go either way. And I've got Chase Tiatia moving to fullback with that spot becoming vacant again. But again, there's definite arguments to say Caleb Trask might end up back there and Chase Tiatia pushes back to the wing. So a lot of unknowns, I think, with this Chiefs back line.
Yeah, Kagi, you got a few names that could fill that fullback void as well, right?
I did. I think, look, this is spoilers because I think we do have him down in the Smokies, but Ermoni Narawa is someone who's come across from the Blues because there's just too many good outside backs at the Blues, to be frank, that he's not going to get a chance. And look, he's played a lot of fullback in the NPC, and also he played wing for the Blues for a little bit. And so I think he's a player that I'm not sure I'm not sure I see him starting over Chase Tiatia at fullback, but I could well see him competing for that right wing slot. So we'll have to see, but very exciting. Now let's get into some key questions. Harry, how much does Josh Ioane at 10 change the Chiefs' DNA or does he just slot into their current structure? How do you see that going?
Mate, I don't think he changes their DNA at all. If anything, I think he probably didn't suit the Highlanders' DNA. I think he's perfectly built his game for the Chiefs. They think, as I said, I think he's a replacement for D-Mac. I know he's not the exact same player, but he's small, agile, skillful, fast, can break the line, can put others through holes, can play at 10 and 15. I don't think he has to change it one bit. I think he's going to be the perfect fit for them. And, he's obviously already had an All Blacks cap a couple of years ago. As I said, if he's got his mind on the game and wants to perform, I think there's more to come for him. He's just such an amazing talent, and I can't wait to watch him. I hope he just replaces all the DMAC excitement that we're losing this year.
I think that's fair. I was just going to say, but what do we think? Do we think anything of the father-son relationship here in terms of the coaching, Warren Gatland and Bryn Gatland? Do we think that will come into effect at all?
Look, I don't think so. I don't think you necessarily get to this level and just pick your son. I think that's under 13 stuff. But look, Gatland might get some time in the squad, things like that. But I think Josh Ioane has come across to be their starting 10. And as Harry said, he fits this squad to a T, and he could be a long-term 10 option for them. So I think he's a good fit.
Yeah,
I'll just jump across to this next question, mate. This is from, again, at Rugby Fixation. I'll get in because I know you like to skip his questions. With 4 exciting locks, do you think they all get enough minutes or each get enough minutes?
No. Yes, Brody Retalic is getting on with a bit of age, but if anything, I think Brody will want to play bulk minutes. I think Harry nailed it on the head when he said, he didn't look back to his absolute best, probably at like 80%. So probably still in the top 4 locks in the world last year. But
he's only 30 for the record.
No, I know, but I just mean, in lock years, that's that's many years.
No, it's not, mate. You can play.
Look, you got another 8 years to match Romano, mate, or Bryn Evans, or there's so many old ones.
Or Brad Thorne, who got to 40. No, that's true. Okay, but those are the baby. 30 is a baby age for the front rowers for props. Although we have the likes of Angus Bell and whatever coming in, but anyway, with Brody, I think he'll want to play a lot of time this year, get back to his best, and we'll see a lot of him. And similarly, Tupou Vaa'i, who's just had been getting better and better. For the All Blacks. And I think the All Blacks really see him as growing into, a dominant All Blacks lock position.
There is Akoi, Lachlan McWannell, and Josh Lord, though. That is a high level of young talent. And they're not that far behind Tupou Vaa'i, sure.
Was it Josh Lord that also got taken on the All Blacks tour? Got some...
Yep, that's right.
Some time, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like the Blues should have got on the phone and said, "Can we borrow a lock or two?" You know what I mean? But
definitely.
All the Waratahs, yeah, exactly.
we took a few Kiwis last year,
but that's it. So I think, look, they'll definitely. I think Lachlan McWannell, who we talked about a couple of years ago as the new hot shit. He's right down the bottom of the pecking order, right? He's got Ngatu Akoi, who's also been awesome last year, and Josh Lord. So, answering your question, no, I think we'll see a lot of Brody and Tupou.
Yeah, cool. Harry, how do you see this playing out? We've talked about it in the past. Anton Leonard-Brown, is he a 12? Is he a 13? How do they see him moving forward, and who does he partner with? Is it just as simple as he partners with Tapia?
Yep.
No Nankerville. We don't see him.
No, I think Nankerville's just going to fall further down the pecking order. I think they've got such big raps on Quinn Tapia. There's a reason he was getting All Blacks tests last year and killing it for the All Blacks, I should say, as well. He played so well. So, I think a couple of years ago there was an argument to say that Nankerville should be getting more game time than Tapia because, I think Quinn Tapia just is quite error-ridden. But my suspicion is that with his time in the All Blacks, he's going to clean that up. And they're going to be the 12-13 for the entire season. Nankerville will be riding the bench, I would say.
Yeah, and look, I think particularly the last couple of years, Nankerville was a crucial part of that Tasman Marco, back-to-back effort. He was at his peak, and that's why we couldn't believe how he wasn't getting in here. But for those who can't remember Quinn Tapia last year, I remember as he was in my fantasy team, but before he got injured, I think he was the top centre in fantasy early on in the season. He was absolutely killing it. So I expect him to go straight back to that.
Look, I'll jump into the stocks rising. We won't spend too long on it. We've talked about these guys, almost ad nauseum. We've done a big deep duck dive into this one. But Josh Ioane, we've already said he's going to fill this role, similar to D-Mac. We've got Samasoni Takiaho. There's been lots of calls for him to be an international regular, and Brody Retalic. We've touched on him. He should be refreshed 2 years over in Japan.
And I know we've already got 3, but can I chuck Chase Tiatia in there? Because he's a player that we all wanted to see just get on the field more and more last year. Every time he came off the bench, he was dynamic and awesome. In theory, he could have free reign at the 15 jersey this year. So he can do as much as he wants, really. It could be very cool. But,
sure. Falling, I've got Akoi, who I think was starting to come through last year, just too much competition. We talked about, and Nankerville, who we've discussed as well. I think both those guys will suffer this year for their playing time.
Yep. And finally, Smokies, again, talked about it. Ermoni Narawa, incredibly exciting player, 15 or on the wing. I think, with that right wing is the thing we're unsure about with Sean Stevenson and Jonah Lowe, so possibly. And then also Smokies, Xavier Rowe, extremely talented youngster, halfback who'll be backing up Brad Weber. He did come on, in a couple of games at the end of the season last year and was absolutely electric. So exciting to see what can happen from what we can see out of him, and particularly with Triple T moving on to the Crusaders, he's going to get more shots. Is he going to be coming off the bench, do we think, week in, week out?
I would say so, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So very exciting from him. And possibly the last Smoky, I think we threw it out last year, but it was Rivez Raihana, who's that 15 or 10, just lots of hype around him. Could be someone we just see randomly come in off the bench and perform.
I suspect we'll talk about him in the Hot Chip podcast again.
Yep, for sure. There's been a few names we've skipped just for that.